Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here. Today I'm going to be doing a review, I suppose, of both the Mossberg MVP rifles I own. I have right here the 308 Mossberg MVP Scout, and I have behind me a little bit the Mossberg MVP Patrol. Let's check them both out real quick. So right here I have both the Mossberg MVP Scout. This one is in 308 or 7.62 by 51. It takes AR-10 magazines, which I think that's the biggest selling point on these rifles. It has a 16-inch barrel. It comes with Picatinny sluts on both sides, which I keep a light on here just because it's kind of nice as a possible defensive rifle if this is what you have, and also more so I like it for critter getting and stuff like that. It's obviously bolt action. It's obviously loaded. I got it loaded up with just some cheap steel case because it actually doesn't shoot that bad, and you know, ammo's expensive, right? Optic I got on here is the Leupold Scout, so it's a 1.5 to 4x Scout on here. I also have the MVP Patrol in 5.56. Now you guys have seen this rifle if you follow my channel on the MVP versus Ruger American Ranch, and while I liked the Ruger American Ranch overall, I actually think the MVP did better than the Ruger American Ranch in some ways. So after doing that video and such, I ended up keeping the MVP just because it outshot the Ruger in just about every way as far as accuracy. And it ran steel case a lot better than the Ruger. So let's check out both of these rifles. A question I often get asked a lot of times, honestly, when I do any kind of video like this is, hey, why would you get an MVP or even like the Ruger American Ranch or Predator or something like that in 308 or 5.56 when you could always just get an AR-15? And as you guys know, I do a lot of stuff with AR-15s. I love AR-15s, but for me, there's a couple reasons. One, sometimes just having a basic light, handy rifle is pretty nice to pack around, especially if you get like into the AR-10 realm. You start looking at a rifle that more often than not can weigh half again more than this type of rifle. And so like having something light and handy like this for like a good like deer hunting rifle, but still take the same mags and such as your AR equivalents is a pretty nice little gig. Two, these rifles are just fun to shoot. I enjoy messing with a bolt action. I think they're kind of, they kind of have a certain aesthetic to me, and I just kind of like working the action and getting some kind of that old world feel. And three, I also think that these are good behind enemy line type of rifles, and I'll kind of explain what that is in the just read on the screen. But yeah, I think these would actually be a good potential behind enemy lines type of rifle if that's what you're stuck with. So that's why I like these MVP rifles. And I guess the number 4 reason is I think they're quite underrated, quite frankly. Alright, so another thing to really consider with the Mossberg MVP Scout, or even the MVP Patrol, is because they are just kind of light, handy, basic little rifles. Something that's nice to consider with these rifles is, you know, a good deer hunting type of, or deer or critter rifle. Generally with a 5.56 or 223, I won't deer hunt with it. I'll take it out for like coyotes and stuff, which this has defended the homestead quite a bit from coyotes. Here in this part of my neck of the woods, we do have quite the coyote nuisance. But this one, I've actually got my last 2 years of deer with this MVP Scout, so it actually does the job pretty good, and I like it because I have a Ruger American Predator that I like to take out as well, but this one's a lot handier, a lot lighter, and easier to just kind of weave in through the thick woods and stuff. And really, once you get into the woods, you don't really have, you know, that long of a shot. So, you know, I don't really need a whole lot of extra zoom. 1 to 4x scope does the trick for me. Fetching those little 10-rounders out ain't exactly the quickest, but as you can see, any rifle that I carry, I always try to make some kind of a chest rig with it, even for a bolt action scout rifle. Right, so let's get into a few more specs on the Mossberg MVP rifles here. I'm going to be mostly talking about the MVP Scout here now, because I've kind of already done somewhat of a video on the MVP Patrol. But the Scout version, actually, as you can see, has a full-length rail, which is really cool. I like that. If I could choose any other way to do this instead of the Leupold Scout scope, I'd like to see one day if Primary Arms would come out with a fixed prism optic Scout optic, like a fixed 2 or 3x. That would be really cool if they would do that. But it also, on the rail, has a little rear aperture sight and a front fiber optic sight. Not the most like detailed iron sight system, but it's accurate enough. I've shot it some with just the iron sights. Speaking of accuracy, my MVP Patrol, it shoots great. Like, it shoots sub-inch with damn near all ammo that I've ran through it. So, like, even steel cased, it'll shoot damn near sub-inch. So, and a lot of times even that. So I'm very impressed with that. This one, I generally get right at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches or so, and that's just using ball ammo. I'm sure if I get some like really high-end match grade ammo, it'd shoot under 1 inch all day long. But that being said, for this type of rifle, that's good enough for me, really. I'm not a big bench shooter. I'm more of a practical scout, hiking, hunting, and just practical accuracy type of shooter. So that being said, that's perfectly fine by me. Alright, to get into a little bit more on the rifle, the magazine release is just like the other MVPs. So it's just a little old lever button in there to pop the mag out. Obviously we'll check it unloaded, all that good stuff. Has the Mossberg lightning trigger on it, just like the other Patrol rifle. Now the trigger is really light. Like, I will actually say, I think the Mossberg MVP triggers come out of the box a little bit better than even the Ruger Americans, and I like the Ruger American rifles. I think they're amazing. That being said, I think the MVP triggers are a little bit better out of the box. Something else to take note on too is the bolt. So the throw angle on it, as you can see, about right here, has a decent sized knob. I actually like the knob. Now, a lot of people on these like tactical bench rest bolt action rifles, they've gotten to where they have like this friggin' soda can size friggin' bolt knob on their rifles these days. I don't really care for that. I think that's a little ridiculous. I had a Savage one time that had that and I didn't like it. But this is about the perfect size. It's just a good... I could still run it pretty fast. I could still get to the bolt better or pretty decently. The safety on it is just right here. So it's just kind of very Remington 700-ish. So there you go. To release the bolt, it's just pretty simple. You just pull it back and then there's a little lever right there. Just pull it back. Try not to drop it like a complete dumbass. And then that's the bolt right there. It's fluted. It's just a 2-lug bolt. Now, what's interesting, and I'll show these side by side in a moment, but the 308 MVP bolt obviously is bigger and more beefier, just, you know, more solid looking bolt. But actually even the design of it is a little different, and I don't know if this is like a newer generation or what, but it just has like 2 nubs there on the bottom to grab the round from the AR-10 magazine versus the MVP has just like a little flapper thing, and I'll show you that. All right, so I have the MVP Patrol 5.56 and the MVP Scout 308 bolts right here side by side. Now overall they're pretty much identical, exception for 2 things that I've noticed. Obviously, well, there's a few things. Obviously this one's, the 308's a lot bigger, but as you can see, the mechanism to grab the round out of the magazine on the 5.56 is just this little flipper thing here, which obviously works and does the trick, and it's just kind of rounded here in the back. Versus on the 308, it just has these 2, I guess, nubs on the bolt head itself to grab the round out of the magazine. And instead of it just being rounded in the back, it actually has this like little side catch thing. And I'm not 100% sure what that's all about. I will say overall, I think the 308 feels a lot more of a solid platform. Though I've never had any issues out of my 5.56 one. If I was going to like trust my life to one, I'd probably go with the 308. And also, if I'm rocking out a bolt action anyways, I might as well be going with 308. All right, something else to bring up. You know, I mentioned that the magazine release mechanism on both of these is just like a little lever under here. And it takes an AR-10 magazine, so that kind of gives you the option for some 5, 10, 20, 30, and even, you know, drum beta mags if you wanted to. I think 10s are generally ideal for this. And I like to have a few 20s on hand. These are kind of my, how do you say it? SHTF, Fantasy World, Red Dawn. If I happen to be rocking out a scout rifle or disengagement type of round magazines. These also can run M1A magazines. I don't know why you'd buy M1A magazines when you already can get AR-10 magazines for a lot cheaper. I guess unless if you just happen to have an M1A, then you know you can rock that out. And that's something else that's kind of neat about these. You know, if you already have an AR-15 or an AR-10, but you just want something different, or you just want something, you know, to kind of complement those rifles, these are awesome little rifles to go along with those, just because they interchange the same ammo and the same magazine. Well, my friends, I hope you all overall enjoyed my quick little review on the Mossberg MVP Scout and the Mossberg MVP Patrol. I think these are awesome, little fun, just rifles to mess with. Good AR alternatives, good behind enemy lines alternatives. With all that being said, please like, share, subscribe. You know, comment on the videos. I like to hear your guys' thoughts. Be kind, friendly, all that good stuff. But all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless and carry on.